MashTalk. We are back with our rapid fire CES 2019 edition of the show. I am here at the Sony booth. I'm on the floor, finally. I'm talking with Sony's Mike Fasulo, the COO and President
of Sony Electronics.
President of Sony Electronics. Awesome. So, Mike, I got to start off. We're both CES veterans. I've been covering the show almost 20 years. Sony, I've seen lots of brands come and go, their size reduce and whatever. Sony, there's been a story for the company certainly in the last 20 years, but they've been remarkably consistent at CES. I'd say probably the most consistent brand in terms of your presence, in terms of having a story to tell. Can you tell me like a little bit about how Sony kind of regards the show a little bit? It's almost like I could never imagine this show without your booth right here with stuff and your keynote presentation at the end of the day of press day. It's basically a tradition at this point.
Yeah, it's probably more than a tradition. You're a little younger than I. I've been doing this 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So we're one of the founding members of the CES show, and the CTA, which used to be the CEA. I'm actually now the chairman of the executive board for the CTA, who hosts the show for us here, Gary Shapiro and his great team. But yeah, it is grown and grown from an innovation point of view and from a scope point of view beyond what it started out to be, which was basically audio video.
Yeah.
Right? And we've been with the show the whole way through, and one of the leading innovators that have made the show out to what it is today. Today we look at this show on a worldwide basis, where when it first started out there was shows across Asia, there were shows in Germany, there were shows across the world that were local. But now the footprint of CES has become our maybe most significant global show.
Nice. So you guys, obviously had a lot of stuff to say this year, as you do every year. Can you walk me a little bit through the announcements? And number one, it seems like it's the year of 8K. I have some questions about that, but tell me about what you guys announced, especially with regard to and how you sort of picked the things to announce.
Sure. So last night we did our press conference, and it wasn't a typical press conference where we showed a whole bunch of products and lineups and talked about the features and benefits. I will do that. You and I can have that conversation. But it was really about Sony as a creative entertainment company. And we brought in our folks from motion pictures, Sony Studios, Sony Pictures. We brought in our folks from Sony Music, our gaming side, and represented how Sony technology and innovation is actually the catalyst for the creators to create what they do, their storytelling, their artistry in music, their photography, and then we also make the technology and products to deliver it to the end user. So you can enjoy it. What we like to say is as close to the creator's intent as possible, right? And we use our professional products, the same engineers that are creating our consumer products, so kind of from lens to living room. That being said, boy, we introduced a lot of products. You said the year of 8K?
Right.
Yes, we introduced a 98-inch and an 85-inch 8K, but it's the year of 4K.
Right.
4K is doing great. It's growing month on month, year on year. Household penetration is still under 40%, so we have a lot of opportunity in 4K. And by the way, if you're not buying 85-inch and above, 4K is, Sony's 4K is the top quality, picture quality you're going to get in the marketplace. So I encourage people, continue to buy 4K. If you're buying 85-inch, 98-inch, because of the 33 million pixels in 8K, you need that boost.
Well, this is the thing. I totally agree. The 4K is where we're at. It took a while to get here.
Yes.
And we're slowly been like, okay, 4K is now the top for consumers, and they're going for it. Now the 8K is clearly a forward-looking thing, and I even though there's a bit of an eye roll to it, like we just got to 4K. Like it was good to see you guys come out with the big screens, because It's like, what's the point if it's below? Like, why would you even, there's going to be markets and whatever and pressures that happen down the road where it comes to smaller sizes, but I'm really like, if you're going to, why would you ever do it less than 80 inches I would say at a minimum?
Yeah,
was that kind of the thinking?
It was absolutely the thinking. And we introduced our expanded Master Series, So our Master Series has a new chip processor in it called the X1 Ultimate. And what that does is it's able to analyze all of the incoming data and portray it on the screen lifelike. So it's not painting in colors, it's really reproducing the images in the color that they were shot in. You see it mostly with facial textures and animals and flowers and those type of things. So in our new 4K series and our new OLED series, it's got that new processor in it, which is just remarkable. I always say seeing is believing. You look at it and it's immersive. You feel like you could just, you're in the scene. So 4K is definitely the place to go.
I remember it was probably 10, 15 years ago, there was the horse race on who's got the biggest TV at CES, and that sort of dwindled as sort of that became less meaningful to consumers. But now I feel like with 8K, do you think we're going to see that again? And consistently we're going to have the panels get bigger and bigger? And then I also kind of wonder, how big of a living room are we going to need for
but I think that's the real question,
yeah.
Right? Is the consumer appetite, desire, need, want for these larger screens. As bezels vanish and screens get thinner, a 75-inch doesn't look so crazy large in your living room.
Manageable.
It's manageable, and we're focused on big screen and premium. So 55, 65, 75, and yes, we have 85, and now we introduced the 98. The 98 is not going to be a mass product, right? But it does show our capability. It shows our capability in 8K, and for those that have the wallet and the wall, it's a great opportunity for them. But
so you also had a new audio format.
We do.
Now, I got to hit you a little skepticism on this. It's like another audio format.
It's awesome.
Which I want you to sell me on it, because I need to be sold on it.
I'm not going to sell you on it. You got to hear it.
Okay. But what I guess was the criteria it had to make it worth creating another audio format to I guess the end user, and what's changing here? We already have surround sound, obviously. We already have great audio formats from Dolby and others. What is what is so great about this?
We continue to support Dolby Atmos and surround sound and high-res audio. All those are great fidelity. Totally agree. As a company that has as long a heritage in audio as it does in video, and owns a music studio and works with musicians regularly, we're always trying to reproduce that concert-like, that in-the-moment experience you have when you hear the musician live. What this new technology called 360 audio does is, and the demonstration we're showing right here is remarkable. You're sitting in a chair. There are 5 speakers above you, 5 speakers around you, ear level, and then 4 subwoofers on the floor. And we play a track with all 12, or however many it is, 14 firing.
Wow.
And then we put a pair of headphones on. You put a pair of headphones on your head, and you get the same experience. I know you don't believe me, so you have to go over there and you have to get the demonstration.
That's impressive.
It's object-based, it's spatial-based, and it's really intended to put you center stage. So you can literally pick out where each instrument is, where each voice is coming from, the fans around you if you're in a live venue. It is a game changer. It's remarkable, and it will be compatible with our current offering of premium headphones.
Nice. I look forward to checking it out.
Yeah.
So you guys are very I feel like the Sony brand these days is almost synonymous with imaging. I mean, you make a lot of well-regarded cameras. We're shooting this on some Sony Alpha cameras right now. We have your imaging processors or or image sensors are in every smartphone virtually. But it doesn't seem like there was a big imaging announcement here. Do you find CES is any reason? I guess do you find CES is the best platform for those kind of announcements, or?
Well, imaging we've been announcing breakthrough imaging products and lenses throughout the year, each year for the last 3, 4, 5 years. We've taken on #1 market share in the mirrorless category, in the interchangeable lens full frame category, and it's not necessarily the show that is the driver.
Right.
Same thing goes back to what I said about music and pictures. Working with photographers, and you'll see photographers here this week. We brought in our artisans, we call them. They're professional photographers, and working with them to see what their pain points are. Because for us, our camera is their tool, like yours, right? It's a tool so you could do your work, so you could show your creativity. And what we've done in the camera space, and obviously with the image sensors, is we've created this community of interest. You'll hear our worldwide CEO talk a lot about community of interest, but it's photographers creating wonderful art, photography, and then enthusiasts following them. Right? And it's called Alpha Universe. And you can follow your favorite portrait photographer, your favorite wedding photographer, whatever it is that you desire. So we're constantly leapfrogging, the next innovation based on what the photographer needs are. And we hear from them, which is just, brings a smile to our face, our engineers especially, because remember, this is like their children, right? I mean, their work that's what they live for. We hear from the photographers that they appreciate Sony listens, And that's pretty cool, right? I mean, it's pretty cool.
For sure. So last year you made a big splash at the show with IBO.
Yes.
The revamp or the reboot, or I don't know how you look at the relaunch.
The new litter.
The new litter of IBO came out later in the year. We checked it out. It's a very interesting, very sophisticated robot, certainly more than the last version. But I'm just kind of sort of big picture question for you. What is it? And almost like, what's the point of it? And that, like, is this the beginning of a big robot category for Sony? Will we see more cheaper versions or other kind of form factors? Is it more of an experiment? Is it what is the long game in the IBO universe?
Sure, it's not an experiment. It's real. You played with it.
Sure.
It's artificial intelligence and robotics together. And what I like to say is with a personality. So the IBO, the companion, is all of that. It recognizes 100 different faces. It'll learn your personality. It'll be happy when you're happy. So it really does become a companion. But it's a deep learning device. Right? So we can, and it's in the cloud, right? So it's always connected to the cloud. So we can constantly upgrade it with firmware and not only teach it new tricks and make it more playful, but make it more productive. It's eyes or cameras, OLED displays with cameras. So you could think about future what it could do in the home. It's a mapping device. It can memorize mapping, right? So IBO isn't a pet project. It is a pet, but it's real. It's a companion, and it's a deep learning machine that will learn year on year, and that's why we ship it with a 3-year network plan, so that over 3 years it'll be significantly different than when you took it out of the box. Okay, why do I say all that? Because the image sensors inside of it have so many different applications. And what we want to do is take our image sensing capabilities. We're not in every smartphone, thank you for wishing that, but we're in many. But what really we want to do is translate that to image sensing. If you look at on the floor some of the announcements and some of the demonstrations we're doing about autonomous driving, it's all about safety, right? A sensor can recognize light quicker than the human eye can. It can recognize faraway objects. It can recognize peripheral objects that you may not be able to recognize far before you can. So you think about from a safety point of view, we call it safety cocoon, right? And again, add to that artificial intelligence, and now we're going to the next step of helping society and providing safety. If you went another path, you could think about agriculture and how our sensing devices could actually predict or prevent, catastrophic events in agriculture, large farming, etc. So it's a much broader, longer-term vision and strategy. This happens to be one of our most fun products that comes together.
It sounds like you're learning a lot from it and what people are doing with it.
Absolutely, and working with a lot of equally talented, world-class partners.
Nice. So. I'm curious, so like CES tends to be very much a smart home show for a lot of brands. For you guys, you've done interesting things in that space. I know you have, I don't know if you still have the life space and IBO could certainly be considered a smart home product, but it's not like the predictable smart speaker or I don't know, quirky washing machines and stuff like that. How do you guys think about smart home? Is it kind of like it's obviously a big thing, but I feel like you guys approach it very differently from other brands. How do you guys think about that?
We think about it as a huge opportunity, a big market, a growing market, still yet to be completely defined. But when we look at it, take for instance our televisions. So our televisions are built on the Android platform, but it's open architecture. So you can operate our televisions using Google Assistant. You can operate our televisions using Alexa, right? So it's we're trying to provide the customer with as much choice as possible within what domain they prefer, but also we always start with quality. So we'll never compromise quality. So if you think of our televisions from a quality point of view, it's first visual and audio, and then IoT. So from IoT point of view, right now we see significant growth and opportunity in the security business, right? In home security and do-it-yourself type of security, in networking your devices together, using your smartphone, not only to get your operating system of AV together, but maybe also while you're watching a movie, you want to order a pizza. So interactive two-way kind of networking that improve your life. That's kind of our view and position on it. And our new televisions, this year's televisions, but even more so next year's televisions, have every capability somebody would need today to do the network in their home based on what is most important to them. So it's not secondary at any stretch of the imagination, but we always lead with quality.
Cool. So obviously there's a lot of trends at the show. To wrap things up, like what are you kind of most excited about? What's I guess tech trend that's big at the show, whether it's autonomous driving, smart home, all of the AV stuff we've talked about. What do you think is going to be the most exciting thing this year?
4K televisions.
Oh, we already talked about it.
I think 4K televisions,
even though it's not new, it's the most exciting.
But it's getting better and better.
Yeah.
Right, and IoT expansion within your television. Your television as a central hub of your home. I think we're still far from saturation in televisions and the capability.
Including more content too.
Including more content. The great thing about that is all industries are working together. Yeah. When we launched high definition, it was.
That took a while.
Oh, because there's no installed base of televisions. Content companies weren't making content. There's no content. The manufacturers weren't making devices. Right. So different today. Whether it's studios or streaming companies or artists and content creators, manufacturers, all working together. It's just we have a whole lot of excitement ahead of us in the 4K realm, in the living room realm, in television realm. A whole lot of other excitement that we're talking about, but I think 2019, let's not underestimate 4K.
The year of 4K. We'll leave it there. Mike.
Pleasure.
Mike Fasulo, thanks so much for sitting down with us.
My pleasure.
All right, cheers.